After a long wait, we finally got the premiere of Joker, movie that we were expecting to see the character the most humanly possible. This movie is full of philosophical and psychological concepts, and a lot of references to the comics. But what if I told you that you may have missed a story behind this movie, one that would change the finale of what we had as our understanding? What if this movie isn't about the origin of a supervillain, but rather it's the manifestation of something else? If you want to know what I'm referring to, stay tuned and make sure you watch the entire video so you can get every detail and comprehend what I'm saying at its fullest. Before I begin, I do want to make a shout out to Hypnos Morfeo, who came up with this analysis in the first place. And do know that this video has spoilers for the movie Joker. The movie is about the life of a man called Arthur Fleck, a man that's had a tough life and a life full of problems. The movie starts showing us the day-to-day of Arthur, how society rejects him to the point of harassing him constantly. But this is actually no surprise to us because we already saw this on the trailers, and that it was based on Gotham City, a person that is corrupted by different situations and that finally rebels against society. Even though society does influence Arthur's actions, there are two other very important factors that explain his delirious behavior. And delirious is the right word to describe this character's story, but we will get to this later. The movie shows us how society can transform a good person into a corrupted person. The philosopher Jane Russo believed that human beings were good by nature, but society were the ones that corrupted them, that they have the desire to help their loved ones and their community. But then we get to know greed and the rest of the world's bad intentions. This starts to slowly change us. And on this movie, we actually get to see Russo's way of thinking, because as we mentioned before, we get to see how the Joker gets corrupted by society. An individual that was relatively good, and because he was exposed to extreme measures in order to protect himself and his loved ones, he changes. But of course, this isn't what the movie is actually about. Maybe we can simplify the movie this way. Arthur Fleck was a person that suffered of mental problems and was brought to madness thanks to society. But maybe there's something more. Maybe Arthur's actions never happened. What if I told you that roughly half of the movie happened in Arthur's head as a product of his imagination, and that the Joker's true story is the fall of someone to madness? But not the madness that we've seen before related to the Joker, rather this time it's related to psychosis. In order to understand, we need to define what psychosis actually is. Psychosis is a disorder of the perception of reality that makes the sufferer to perceive stuff that isn't real, which are very real to the patient but not for the rest of the world. In the movie itself, we get to see some hints that what we're watching isn't very real at all. Rather, it's a product of Arthur's imagination. The first time that we see this is when Arthur gets home and sits next to his mother to see his favorite show. He imagines himself being interviewed and applauded, something that didn't really happen. It seems that every time he had a bad day, he started daydreaming or even had hallucinations. The same thing happened with the woman he meets in the elevator, which later is revealed to be a fantasy. Not only that, but when Arthur ends with the businessman's lives, in the train he starts dancing and goes to his girlfriend's house and kisses her. Girlfriend that we get to know that she never was with him in the first place. So if Arthur did imagine everything that happened with her, he may have imagined everything that happened on that day. This seems to worsen when the psychiatrist tells him that she can't see him anymore. He questions her about his pills, since he uses more than 7 pills, because he does appear to have various disorders. What the movie does tell us is that he suffered a rare condition that made him laugh in the worst times possible, thing that the people used to make fun of him. Once he is off his medication, these conditions happen to get worse when people make fun of him, and as he discovers the truth of his birth. This makes him go in a crisis and makes him want to end with everyone that once made him feel like crap or harassed him. But of course, this could also be a part of his own fantasy. When he finally transforms into the Joker, he ends with the TV announcer and is acclaimed by the people in the city. The scene cuts abruptly and shows him in Arkham's asylum, an asylum for the criminally insane, which makes us think that everything that we saw in the movie, or maybe the majority of it, could be nothing but a fantasy on Arthur's head. Or maybe he was arrested after he celebrated with the people in the city. Something else that leads us to believe that this never happened is his apparent success as a comedian. We do hear everyone applauding when he is making jokes, but no one is actually shown on camera, and we also get to see his girlfriend smiling, whom we get to know later that she was never with him. But all of this doesn't actually matter on the character. The psychological effect that the character had was pretty clear, either from it being from him not taking his medication anymore because of the psychiatrist that didn't want to see him anymore, or because society pressured him and he became someone that is truly dangerous. It was important to him. Another key point in this story is the duality of happiness and sadness that we see on this character. Arthur says that he's never had a single minute of happiness in his life, yet he is laughing constantly because of his condition. The movie shows us how it's socially accepted that he is constantly smiling, because this is what society desires. Arthur's comedy failed not because he didn't like being a comedian, but rather because he didn't emit happiness on his joke. He used to do bad jokes because it's what he lived on a daily basis. He couldn't distinguish the bad things that happened to him on a daily basis with comedy, so he eventually fused them both. And that's why we hear the famous phrase on the trailer, "My life isn't a tragedy, it's a comedy." Tell me, what's your opinion on all of this? Did you like the movie? Did you not like the movie? Don't forget to leave your opinion in the comment section below. Thanks for watching the video. And remember that if you liked the video, don't forget to leave your like, share this video, and also, if you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe to see more content. This has been All Around.